Are we ready to assign genres and prompts?
Assuming if he's still alive.
Who's alive?
Yep, if he's still here.
Okay, we're just going to do it by Discord order. So Prime, you're first up. You are going to start Ghost Story. And you, to use, get the prompts of 8 and 5. And then finishing the Ghost Story is, Speak of the Devil, Fire.
Yes!
Let's bring in some fucking lore.
Don't leave me to hang like you did last time, man.
That's kind of my signature move.
God damn it.
Alright.
I mean,
Up Fire.
it did well. Oh man, I'm up next.
The prompts that you get, let's see it, are going to be 6, 9.
Why do I always get comedy?
Right. Fire, you are going to be starting the story of Bromance.
God damn it. I knew it. I'm fucking...
He's so mad
Why?
he kicked his mic.
Why? I get
And
fucking...
finishing Bromance. No. Fuck you.
That sounds like a Curtis.
What?
That's me.
Oh, you're finishing
Fuck.
Bromance?
Yes.
Oh, these are probably honestly the two worst people to write Bromance.
That is
Right.
crazy.
So I'm going to 4, and it was nearly 3, but it's going to be 7. The story that I will start is Grimdark. The person who will finish Grimdark is Curtis.
Ooh, yes.
Curtis, your prompts. Curtis gets 2 and 10. So your prompts are going to be 2 and 10. That means the only question left is what story is Curtis going to start? That means you start Mythological.
Oh. I mean, oh no, my worst subject.
Alright, that means Iffy, you start Slice of Life. Prime, you finish Slice of Life.
I'm so sorry. It has to be this
And
way.
Iffy, you get the prompts 1 and 3. So, we now have our list. I will grab that, I'll paste it in the fucking self-pro chat, just so that everyone can verify that this is what you're doing, these are the prompts you're getting, and then I'll be sending you your prompts. Or you actually got a couple of really, really nice prompts.
I got an onion.
Why am I on the list twice? Prime, Fire, Heck, Curtis, Prime. Did you mean Iffy?
Oh, fuck yeah. Whoops.
I didn't even notice.
I did not either. Alright.
I enjoy writing that slice of life by yourself, Prime.
You do not want that. You really don't want that.
Are you recording this for Joshua's benefit, Prime, or no?
Both of us are.
Yes. Just to make sure.
These 2 lines I got fit on my mythos, so I'm most likely just going to be typing that out, so.
Curtis, as long as the writing is good, I care not for the content.
You care not from which the content flows, but only that it does.
Only that it shall. Content must flow.
Much like the spice, the content must flow.
Just like the Church of Goo, the goo must flow.
Out here on Arrakis, all things come from the sands. All things shall return to the sands.
I come.
Oh my god.
You ride the worms that the worms do not ride us, my children.
Oh my god.
I do a worm, then I dance the worm.
Even without Josh here, Bizarro Fantasy's footholds are trapped forever within the writing game.
Sorry, all I heard something about feet. Can you please send some? Even without Josh here, I'm still a force of nature when it comes to brain damage.
Most of us are. I think the Kings of Brain Damage is stationed at Josh first. You and Iffy are tied for second place, and I'm bringing up the rear in 4th.
Oh, I want you to bring up my rear.
Don't worry, buddy. I got you covered.
Oh.
I don't know, Fire tries pretty hard with Steven and the poles and all that kind of stuff.
That's not
be
trying.
acknowledged.
That's just natural. It's so stupid. Oh, I love it so much. Well, I mean, we've got some downtime. Anybody want to, like, just make a cold open that we can use for this episode?
Cold open?
Yeah, like last time.
Explain yourself.
Last time Mathias popped in here, and the first words he said when he got into Discord was about pubic hair.
How am I supposed to do a cold open when it's so fucking hot outside?
Oh, really?
I like the heat.
76 degrees, and I hate it.
No, 76 degrees.
It's 95 outside right now. Shut up.
It got up to 97 degrees in the warehouse I was working in today, in my defense.
It was 110.
There's no airflow. I don't give a fuck, I don't live there. You choose to be there. It's not my problem.
It's not.
I don't care about your peasantry needs. It's fine, Prime. I care.
What's your game? What's your angle? Why? What do you hope to gain from this?
I hope to gain your respect.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. I'll take respect.
Also your pancreas, but that's a side note.
That's what I thought. I knew it.
Yes, he likes collecting pancreas.
Every week or so, my diabetes flares and demands pancreases.
No, it's gotta be a very difficult living situation for you.
Not really. There's a lot of people out there that don't need their organs.
Really?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
They don't need it after dead. So, I just.
That is a very valid point. Maybe I should, start relieving people of the need for their organs.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like a business strategy,
Yeah, you're getting it.
It's hard to match the sheer aura that came from Dracula being in Troy, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I can hear Connor. Oh!
His voice is so distracting. It's so
We
beautiful.
can hear him, but he's not joining? What devilry is this?
What? This is truly a betrayal for the ages.
This has to be removed from the writing game
Is the new
video. We can't have this blasphemy.
Connor's new Discord name, Judas.
But not JUDAS, it's like GEWDUS.
Yes.
Hold on, I'm supposed to be the one making this.
I like to poke a lot of fun at my own faith, especially Father Donovan into my mouth.
Well, now.
Oh, Josh is here.
Oh God.
Hello, Josh.
We're just finishing up the first half, 10 seconds.
Oh, only first half. Oh, okay.
So, Josh, you come to strungle the grungle or what?
I've come to strungle your thrungle. My arrival was of great uncertainty, but it is here now. But...
All right, we have been recording for you.
Yeah, good. Is this the lines shit again?
We're doing lines.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh my god.
Your story,
This is like legitimately a perfect ending from I read halfway through and it's like, I know how I want to end this, and you're just continuing. It is such a good state. Thank you.
No problem. I got really into it.
Yeah, I'm so glad I freaking got Grimdark. That's the second half.
The way that your mic canceled itself there sounded like, I'm so glad I started jerking when I got to Grimdark.
Don't worry. As soon as it's jerking time.
God, I hope it's that good.
Honestly, I
the
think-
story, bro. I like
Oh,
this.
I forgot to read.
Nice.
I don't know what Iffy's gonna do. I hope Iffy does great. I want to see what Iffy does.
He will try if he will likely disappoint you.
But Iffy, do you like what you've read?
Yes, I think you did very nicely, and that is why I think I'm going to disappoint you.
Oh.
No, this might be a Curtis dub. I think Curtis might win this one. Yeah,
Is it because I got two of my best categories that I write?
quite possibly. Those are two really, really good categories. And yeah, I've got Bromance.
Iffy,
What?
this is the worst story you've ever written.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's the worst genre I've ever had.
The only reason why this time I'm super elaborate, because I'm a little bit more elaborate than last time I played, it's because I'm actually working on a basis of a mythos I've been working on since second grade.
Yeah, oh shit. Mythology was the perfect one for you.
Yeah.
Iffy, I struggle to understand how your other alternative option for sentences could have been worse than the one you chose for this genre.
It was worse. It explicitly was not compatible with this genre. Or it
Neither is this one.
It very, very explicitly is not compatible with the genre because it makes that day special instantly. A slice of life is supposed to be a typical day.
You. You.
Oh, I know exactly what you fucking is.
You little.
Matthias, I'm sure you do.
Especially since that prompt was mine.
Listen to what you make me do, Iffy.
Oh, shut up. I know you like writing about the topics and themes and that. Enjoy yourself, it's fine. I even gave the dog a cute name.
Are we getting new sentences to work with, or are we just finishing the
The
story?
one that you did not use.
If I used both.
Uh-oh.
You're supposed to use
Oh,
Well, we can make an exception. Josh, would you like to give him two sentences to choose from?
All right.
You don't
Okay,
know.
I will just send exactly what you gave me to Curtis.
Okie dokes.
Use one of those and make it the final sentence. Is everybody ready?
yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I got one yes.
Anyone not ready?
I'm never gonna be ready. Let's just start.
Okay, paired again in 3, 2, 1, go.
I will mute at me when your guys are done.
Deal.
From home to chilled home, rain poured from the heavens above in sheets of icy torment. The song of the winds tore at my mind and skin, lashing with irrespective hate. All the whims of the gods laid bare to my heart and my mind. The voices hummed with peace and fury, synchronized into a meaning with several different meanings, but one spoke highest in the chorus. Seek the fields of mournful ice and forgotten souls. Through those eyes of swallowed dust laid upon me, I, the last man of my people, must journey to the lands beyond the world gate, to places unknown to the Drian. Even scorned by the Jezreel, must walk alone in the void of home and hearth. Upon the morrow, I journeyed through the lanky fields of grass and sun, shimmering through clouds and bouncing on the scaly hides of the indomitable plains behemoths. I watched great horse-like lizards skimmer and frolic in the sparse tree lines. I witnessed flying drakes dance in the sunlight and dash overhead with elegance. But I had made it to the place I was looking for. The World Gate, massive steel pillars reaching high into the sky, arcing magical essence flickering with false life. The gate hummed, calling to me, and with a dance of my tongue unknowing even to me, I spoke a language that befell me in the moment. The gate shone and opened a well of light for me to step through. I passed through, and on the other side was a canopy of great oaks that stretched beyond my eyes. Even in this great forest, a voice called ushered me to press my feet to move in awe. My journey took many months. Creatures that dazzled me and took strange shapes, such as a small furry man with a tail swung from branches. Great raptors ran and darted, playing with falling leaves and glittering fey. However, my journey came to a halt at a great wall of ice and snow. An opening was hewn in the massive obstacle, so I adjourned through. On the other side, a fearsome valley of ice spread and sojourned indefinitely. I saw my people trapped in icy prison. Here they lie, the men from the moon. It was here I thought my journey came to an end. The voices calming and my heart full. I knelt in this chilled gravesite amongst my kin at last. As my knees touched the frozen dew of this sacred wasteland, I felt once again whole, once again myself. After several long moments, I looked to the heavens, clasping my hands. I am forever grateful you have given me mercy and shown me to this place, the final burial site of my kin. Now I may join them and rest in peace, knowing we are now to be together forevermore. We may not be home, but our bond shall be everlasting as we journey to another life, never alone so long as we are near one another. I laid my weary head on a nearby stone, quickly passing on to sleep. Your time has yet to come. Warrior, raise your head and awaken your aching bones, for there is much to be done. Standing before me was a mighty dragon of frost, a champion of the eons with eyes sharper than the finest blade and armor more precious than any king's. I beheld him, wishing to be with my people. Why have you summoned me here to this place, if not to allow me to find my journey's end? You are of great importance, young one. Your penance has not yet completed. Please take this pendant, for you shall need it for the journey that follows. It belonged to your father, and his before. Keep it with you. The dragon's voice boomed, echoing through the icy tundra, displacing snowbanks. Follow the star that has long vanished from the sky. Should you be unable to find it, you may trust the crows to guide your way. Before I could respond, the creature had vanished, the pendant he had held shining brilliantly in the blue light of the moon. My fatigue had left me, along with my chance to put a close to this cursed adventure. Forever I am to walk this land, never tired, never ceasing, an endless cycle. The gods' voices had returned to me once more, now beckoning me to the destination of this new quest. I was negligent, a fool. In my arrogance, my people were slaughtered here, and now I walk this earth alone. One day, perhaps, I shall be allowed to be with them once more. The gods had been merciful in allowing me to see them again. The rain fell hardest that day.
That was pretty good.
That was fire.
I'm not entirely sure where you're going with it, Curtis, but I tried my best.
It was
That's pretty
odd,
good.
but it worked.
There was a bit of cognitive dissonance between the two halves, but I thought you both
little bit.
individually did really well.
I assume it helps quite a bit not knowing the fine minutia of your actual lore that you base this off of. Otherwise, I would be confused as to what's going on more.
Yeah, well, if someone didn't fist fight their sparring partner by casting power word kill, maybe you would have learned.
What?
Remember that tabletop simulator
Listen.
campaign I tried to
Yes.
do?
Yes, I do.
Remember that.
You shouldn't have let me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
I was
saying.
not there.
The first time I tried to play D&D with this group, Curtis was DMing, and at level 1, we were like 30 minutes into the session, and I wasn't paying attention too much, so I thought we were at battle, and he also gave the caveat, like, he allowed us to use any spell,
God.
no matter what level, just so long as we were willing to deal with the consequences. So, in a desperate attempt, because no one had managed to hit the guy yet, in a desperate attempt to defeat the enemy, I cast my spear-wielding vampire by the original name of Borag the Impaler. Decided to cast a level 9 power word kill at level 1 to try and save the party from this menace. Turns out, it was just a sparring match to gain entrance into the local fighters guild.
Oh god.
And I died.
Because you basically Thanos snapped yourself to kill one person.
Yeah.
I don't think it even worked because the guy had more than 100 HP.
It didn't work.
Pretty sure I saved you from death, but
Pure, you couldn't have saved me. You were trapped in my bag of holding.
I can still get out the second you stop shoving me in there.
I have pretended to learn my lesson. Let us continue to the next story.
All right.
The rubber duck's name was Jim. He sat in the corner of the room and stared blankly into space as I huddled in the corner, rocking back and forth, humming to myself to keep sane. I couldn't leave while Jim was watching, or he would alert the others to my presence. This was the only room in the building that they wouldn't enter, so it was the only room that I was safe in. It's just too bad that this was the room that he had claimed as his. I can't believe I was dumb enough to let myself get trapped like this. Where did I go wrong? I had started working here at this hospital earlier this summer as an intern in the radiology lab in order to get through school. At first, it was honestly pretty boring since they didn't have much for me to do around the office besides refiling the same drawers that I had the previous shift. The only part of this gig that kept me from disappearing into some random closet and binging YouTube was the virtually constant onslaught of ghost stories from the old heads and security guards. Every single one of them had a tale to spin about this place. Most of them were generic lights flickering, disembodied voices, or things falling off of shelves. All of them, however, warned me about the rubber duck. "It's a bad omen," they would say. "Everything else is spooky, but that duck is evil." Nobody could or would tell me much else. I'll never forgive them for that now, but at the time I had taken this as them just trying to get one over on me as the kid in the office. But now that I had seen the duck myself, I understand that they were probably more serious than they even realized. I mean, the damn thing just popped up out of nowhere and basically started following me around about a week ago. I had joked to my supervisor about it, and he even jokingly responded with, "It sounds like Jim has decided to pick a fight with you. Better watch out. He doesn't get too mad." We had just laughed it off then. After about a month of the duck following me, I started to get a little annoyed by it and was telling everyone to stop moving it because I figured someone was playing a persistent prank on me. Of course, nobody fessed up as the culprit, and the security guards just told me to deal with it. "As long as you don't touch it, you'll be fine, so just ignore it." A week after that, the duck popped up in the break room during lunch, and I, being in a bad mood after a long morning, picked it up and threw it in the trash. Everyone in the room went silent and looked at me like I was crazy. My supervisor even scolded me. "You really shouldn't have touched it." After that, no one would talk to me. Most people wouldn't even stay in the same room as me. I get why now that I'm trapped here surrounded by ghosts. Damn you, Jim. Damn you and your stupid duck. Jim the duck heard me. He started to move towards me. No strings could be seen. No other visible entity pulling the possessed object. No discernible reason for its ominous approach. I thought I was safe, but now, as it drew near, my heart was racing. Desperately, I started searching frantically in the room for an answer that could serve as my salvation. Drawers were thrown open and medical supplies were strewn about the room. I glanced back. Jim had started pushing the disregarded supplies into a shape in the center of the room. Beyond him, the lights in the hall started flickering violently, and office chairs were piling up outside the door, lined up as if they were waiting to watch a show. "Please, Jim, I am sorry I threw you in the trash that one time. I thought you were just a dumb prank my coworkers were throwing on me," I plead. Still, Jim pushed syringes and knives to form a pattern. It was a pentacle. Pentacle?
Like a pentagram, but not upside down.
Oh, okay. "If you want blood, I have blood." I keyed in the lock on the human-sized fridge and tossed a bag of blood as an offering to Jim. Instead of landing just before him, it opened and splattered across his body and the floor. I was expecting a response of dire consequences, but with a face painted in blood, he continued his silent work. The blood that didn't land on him began to swirl in the center of the room as Jim completed the awful shape. The wind picked up, and the only window in the room shattered inward, sending glass shards into the mix of swirling substances. This was not how I was going out. I was not going to die to a rubber duck, even a possessed one. I began tossing bags of blood out of the fridge to make room for myself, but as I continued to toss bags, I began to realize a fatal flaw in my plan. For every bag I tossed, a new bag formed its place with one key exception. They were beginning to beat. With every beat, the lights and cupboard began to slam. Soon the resounding beat was all I could feel through my shaking body. The swirling mass of blood and supplies began pulling me in, and I held on to the handles of the fridge to stop me from joining the death trap. If I could only outlast this madness, I prayed. Atop the fridge appeared Jim the rubber duck from hell, and as he landed on my hand, the final resistance released. I looked into the hall at the chairs and witnessed a horrific sight. The days yet draw to the end, but death will not claim their hearts. Spooky.
I like what you did with Jim. Very nice.
Nice, Jim.
Jim was my favorite character.
Very surprised that Prime managed to make Jim so menacing in the course of like 3 paragraphs.
Yes.
Victory in death. This sentence has been ingrained into me since the day of my birth. I was raised in the kingdom of Floracria. There we go. The women soften their skin in bloodbaths, and the men eat Cheerios before the daily mandated massacre. There is honor in death, beauty in sacrifice. The country suffers from exceptional overpopulation, with a lack of food to go around and not enough space for everyone. Our ancestors decreed that there shall be a daily murder. Each household must kill one person in righteous combat every day to combat the torrential wave of children that plague our land. In death, you have served your country and kinsmen. In life, you carry the legacy of your forefathers and enjoy the time you have earned. Honey, I'm home! I lazily tossed my drenched coat over the nightstand, still dripping with some of the remains of the day's work. Hello, my beloved. How was the hunt today? Arila, my wife, entered the room. The sun left a slight glint upon her auburn hair as she stepped towards me, arms outstretched for an embrace. I pulled her close and gave her a light kiss. Oh, same old, found another abandoned one out in the rain. Put him out of his misery. He thanked me as he passed on, seemed happy to have given himself to the red mist. Arila peeked over my shoulder, standing on only the very tips of her toes to do so. That's wonderful to hear, darling. Have you already stored him away? Of course, dearest. I gave her a kiss on the cheek before closing the door to our peaceful abode. What did you have planned for dinner? I asked her, already smelling the delightful aroma of whatever my wife had planned for the evening sizzling in the oven. It's a surprise, darling. She winked at me before tiptoeing back around the corner and into the kitchen in that cute way that she does. I grabbed my moist jacket and walked to the backyard where I hung it out to dry. No point in washing it, it's just gonna get crusty again tomorrow. I turned towards the doghouse sitting in the corner of the yard and kneeled down. Doofus, buddy, who's a good puppy? I'm home! Are you ready, buddy boyo, for the dinner prepared by this old wifey of mine? I asked the bestest boy around. Doofus, my dog, as always, refused to answer me verbally and preferred to sniff around my trousers where the blood had stained them earlier today. Honey, my beloved, dinner's ready. Oh, goody old boy, I can't wait to hear myself. As I skipped merrily over to the foldable dinner tray at the couch in front of the TV and next to my lovely honey bun wife. Ah, yes, the glorious Tri-Witch Bonanza. How I have craved this special treat. Well, of course I made the Tri-Witch Bonanza. It is a special day, after all, my most beloved queen exclaimed. Do pray tell, Pookie Boo, whatever do you mean? Hold on.
Prime, you motherfucker.
This is when I was still mad at you.
I can tell.
It gets a bit better, don't worry.
Sorry, my dad interrupted. It's a slice of the honey zucchini bread.
Glorious. You were at Pookie Boo.
You kind of dragged out the story, huh?
At this point I was. It changed later. It gets better, don't worry.
Well, at least I have a prop for the Tri-Witch Bonanza now. Do pray tell, Pookie Boo, whatever do you mean? I seem to not have any recollection of today being celebrated federally and thusly cannot even fathom even one singular iota as to which jubilee thou art referring towards. Prime, I responded to her most glorious
I love this.
I responded to her most glorious majesty of mine. Please don't ever talk like that again. Thank God. She oh so coldly expressed to me. But yeah, it's the anniversary of our first date. So I thought I would recreate the dinner that you made for us back then. But like actually good this time. I still can't believe you had actually decided to make PB&Js on our first date. She laughed oh so cutely while reminiscing about our glory days. It worked, didn't it? My natural charm is just that good. I leaned in for a kiss and she leaned in as well. Right before our lips met, a siren blared out the TV speakers and shocked us into formal attention. Our national scream sounded throughout the house, and we paid her full attention as our glorious leader addressed the nation live. My fellow Floracrians, it has come to my attention that over the course of the past century, the citizens that live inside our great megacities have gone to excessive lengths to enact an extreme form of population control. These cities, whose census statistics numbered in the tens of millions only 100 years ago, now average a shocking 3,000 inhabitants. This has gone outside. This has gone on outside of the government's watch for far too long, and I shall be undertaking a great program to reinvigorate our great nation's great cities. Effective immediately, I declare martial law and shall be sending peacekeeping forces to ensure the safety of our citizens. No longer shall these atrocious crimes be committed to the people of Floracria. I was really expecting a martial law of 1 sex per day. Not gonna lie.
No.
I love the currency.
You see, Josh, canonically, that was the problem.
As the TV switched back to our commercials, I couldn't help but blurt out, "That rat bastard! What the hell is he talking about? How could he just deny us our culture?" Calm down, honey. Surely it wasn't about our great city. It must have been the others that he was talking about. I mean, Lothops has always been a shithole. My beauty babe wife that I love a lot tried to calm me down. But when the troops came in that morning, my worst fears were realized. The government was here, and they wanted to make the streets safe to walk on without wearing flak vests and carrying medieval flails in each hand. How dare they? How dare they piss on our culture like this? I got together with the boys, the ones that were still around anyway, and started working on a plan to rid ourselves of these peacekeepers once and for all. The first step was to burn down all the farms in the region and poison every water supply we could find. We would be the only ones with the supplies, as we all had multi-story bunkers that spanned multi-story, fuck me. As we all had multi-story bunkers that spanned at least 4 hectares each. We knew that the month would be long, but not in this cruel way. I don't know why. Wow. Okay.
You really went idiocracy with that, huh?
This story.
I went
in the second half. What the hell?
Dude, I was fucking bouncing along in the second half. Second half was fucking awesome until like that last one.
I needed them to lock more lips. Otherwise, I'm just like,
Hey, listen, if you didn't give me a lot to work with here.
I'm just saying, it seems like this guy and his wife could effectively reproduce the entire world by themselves.
I'm sorry.
Going on.
You made me go into the Gary Lord of Trees voice, which I was not expecting.
I ain't made you do nothing, boy.
No.
Dark time.
No, it was you. The cathedral bell rang for the first time. Rain poured down from the blanket of clouds above, casting the day in a dim gray pall. Lightning flashed briefly in the distance above the bay, but when the thunder followed, it was faint, muted. The soft pattering of rain was met by the shuffling of feet as the funeral procession trudged along. And above all, the crashing tone of the cathedral bell rang as it once more struck, heralding the end of King Castamon's life. Marthel watched as the gilded casket, carried by Castamon's advisors and 3 sons, was lifted through the broad archway and swallowed up into the mouth of that cavernous vault of stone. When it passed through the gates, he swore he could feel the very sky dim, and the torches that adorned the parapet beside him flickered as the wind swelled and the rain drove harder. They sputtered, then went out. Marthel had been invited to the funeral, same as any lord in the domain of the kingdom of Locane. but he had refused attendance. He could merely watch from the walls of his keep. He argued, though, truth be told, he did not like the cathedral, nor its growling stone gargoyles that perched upon every ledge and watched motionless from every crevice in its black stone walls. The cathedral was older than the kingdom itself, some said, built in a time when the heathen gods of the elder ages still walked among mortal men and garnered their worship through the conquest and blood pacts and other darker magics that were only whispered about in the dark of night when no unwary ears could hear. It was that long and gruesome history of blood and torment that kept him from attending, though he had grown and matured and lived his entire life beneath the shadow of its looming walls. He turned away, looking instead over the raging sea to the west, and wondered if there would ever be a king like Castamon. The man had been his friend, for that was what he was, merely a man, no matter what he himself may have believed. The king's madness had grown more fervent as the hour of his demise grew ever closer, and Marthel had been loath to visit his king, his friend, in his frantic and delusioned state. Still, over the past few weeks he had made the effort to climb the steps of the Camaraderie Keep and to visit his aged friend in the depths of his troubles. The king had frowned when he had seen Marthel on his final visit, his pallid and wrinkled brow furrowed in deep concentration. "What troubles you, my king?" Marthel asked gently, oh so gently, for fear that he may burden his friend further. Castamon opened his mouth, but the words seemed to catch in his throat, and what escaped instead was a sigh that spoke of the burden of the world. "Marthel," he said at last, "I have seen it. I have seen what awaits every man in the beyond, and it is not something that I desire. Not yet. I have too much left to do." Marthel knew not what to say then, for he saw the sadness in the crystal blue eyes of Castamon, and knew that the truth would only bring him pain. The sickness had been long, and when Castamon had been a younger man, a stronger, burly man with hair as golden as rippling fields of wheat, he had been able to keep it at bay. But now, he was pale and decrepit, his hair thinned and grayed for 20 years, and there would be no lie that Marthel could spin to hide that fact. It was his time. His son Horon had said, better to see him pass in peace than to continue to watch him suffer. Marthel saw the logic in that, but his heart ached at the thought, and he had returned to his keep that night and wept, for he knew what would soon follow. That night, Marthel dreamt terrible dreams. They were blood dreams, dark dreams of silent, cold men with blades of emerald fire. Their hands were black, and their eyes were white, and on their gaunt and terrible faces they bore grimaces of pain. From every side they closed in, surrounding him, reaching out with their bony, black hands, and chanting in a language he could not recognize. On and on through the night they continued their chant, its sound echoing louder and louder in his ears until at last he could take it no longer. And he screamed until his voice went hoarse, and his servants had to lift him from the floor of his room, finding him fallen from his bed in the depths of the night. The next morning had been the day of the king's funeral, and the tolling of the cathedral bell met the clash of thunder in the eaves of the hall and of his keep as Marthal sat, his head resting in his worn and wrinkled hands. He could not bear to enter that building, to see the solemn rows of mourners and friends. Castamon was dead, Horon was king, and the sky wept tears of silver mourning. The boom of thunder and the settling of ash rushed upon the dirt. Dark beasts rushed over the splintering wood barricades. Knights fought and fell with shattering blows, flinging their limp corpses over the next row of morale-corroded men. Flags caught fire as men were crushed by colossal cyclopean beasts. Gored women and men hung from their horns like vile trophies. Horses were used as clubs, thudding on the battered shield walls of broken formations. These demons broke through from the east, where there was no escape from this battle. They trudged through the fields of blood and marrow, climbing the walls with a feral resolve, even against the yell of released arrows and breaking cannons into the trailing beasts. It all shattered when they roiled over the wall, feasting on more men. They swarmed the streets, ripping and tearing all that lay before them in a carnal fury. Mere hours passed since the battle started, and they had gotten to the palace door, beating and howling at the door. Their hunger calls for them, all bleating for the blood of all those who live for the light of civilization. Terrible steps crashed towards the door, and a silence followed. With a sudden jerk of air and stone, the great doors ripped from their hinges, and there was a wretch of man wreathed in sinew and malice. Marthal stood there, thinking only one thing in his horror of impotence to this beast. A last thought before the death the dark tidings brought, trapped in the simulacrum of desperation. It stopped. All of it just stopped, as if it wasn't moving in the first place.
I really liked that one.
Yeah?
There is
Very
going
nice.
to be a lot here to talk about.
That transition.
But we will discuss the
We will
transition.
discuss that
but
later. I
Overall,
will
very nice.
I will need to think about this one. I don't even remember who wrote this, but we'll get to that later.
There was an idea to gather a group of extraordinary people. A mission granted to Commander Thukius, where he had failed the High King, I had succeeded. In the cold mountains of Kandor, Thukius led his armies north towards the settlement of Alexandria.
So I'm just gonna correct you. Sorry, that's pronounced Thukius.
Thukius, of course.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah, no, it's either
Thank
way.
you. I was gonna suffer through Thukius, to be honest, but I appreciate it.
I didn't go ahead and pronounce
It was not. I'm trying to learn Latin, and I'm just like, no.
The travel was as perilous as it was charming, and many called it a suicidal run of past traditions. But the commander would hear none of it. He insisted that the only minds worth his presence were that of the great scientists and poets of noble descent. One day, his mood was particularly awry as we passed the thinnest section of travel. The men were too slow for his impatience, and with the wind picking up, people had started falling off. This was madness. "Commander Thukius," I said, as I kneeled before him, "we need to take this pass with more caution if we want to complete our sacred task. This is already the cautious way. Now tell them to hurry up, or there will be no supper for any of them," he spat. "I beg of you, have mercy!" He grabbed me by the neck as he dragged my squandering self to the edge of the cliff and tossed me without another word. The fall was the greatest I had ever undertaken, and I was sure that I would meet my end. But it was shorter than I was expecting. The fall had not killed me after all, but the cold was an ensured threat. That was when an outstretched hand was offered to me by two figures in cloaks and armor of my unit. Bro, Captain, bro, you really should watch your step better. Thank you, sir. I'm Marcus, bro, and this is Lucius. Lucius raised a hand in a friendly greeting. With you, we can surely make it out of here alive, Marcus said. From that point on, I gave all the orders and they listened without question. They did give friendly jabs here and there, and I was genuinely glad for their camaraderie as we navigated out of the mountains through a safer route. They had great hopes that I would bring safety to them when we made it back home. It felt wrong to withhold my clear dismissal of rank from them. Bro, I gotta come clean with you, I said. I totally got demoted. Bro, said Marcus. That sucks, bro. Yeah, bro. What rank are you now? Asked Lucius. Dead, bro, I said. Marcus and Lucius gasped. I got pushed off a cliff. I think the commander thinks I'm totally dead. Bro. Both Marcus and Lucius said in unison. Well, that's okay, bro. We can totally desert and get you a bunch of baguettes, said Marcus.
Oh, yes! I love my Roman baguettes.
Yeah, I make the best baguettes, said Lucius. You dudes are the best, I said, and they both fist bumped me while fist bumping each other, making a triangle of fist bumps. From that moment onwards, I knew that I had found my best bros. Marcus and Lucius liked all the same shit I did, to include being a soldier and taking down corrupt institutions within the rank structure of the Caledrine Armed Forces. So naturally we turned back around and headed back toward Alexandria to put an end to the evil reign of tyranny of Commander Thucius. Along the way, we happened upon a couple of farms, and there gathered an assortment of breads and bread-like products, but none were baguettes as detailed by Marcus and Lucius, who held that particular variety of bread in such high esteem that even I began to denote it as one of the most superior aspects of cuisine without even trying it. Gotta stick up with we bros, you know? Anyway, we totally got totally close to Thucocius's army as we continued northward. I could tell by the trail of half-dozen corpses the army left in its wake as it continued. Many bore the armor of soldiers, abandoned after infection had taken them too far to the brink of death, or a spattering of civilians taken for the pleasure of the commander and his soldiers. I could barely stand to look at their faces as we passed, knowing that I had once engaged in such debauchery alongside my former comrades. Fortunately, my bros were there to help me through that difficult time. We can't change the past, said Marcus on one particularly snowy evening as we huddled around a small campfire. But we can always change what we do in the future. This is our road to redemption, bro! And we gotta see it through, bro, said Lucius. We gotta help each other rise from the desolation of debauchery into the brighter light of redemption. We can only do it together, I realized. We are only as strong as, our interpersonal relationships and the bonds that drive us to do good in this impermanent world of temptations. Now you're getting it, bro! Shouted Lucius, and we all laughed into the morning. The next morning.
Holy shit, man.
The next morning.
So much.
We were able to see the end of Thusius's company on the horizon. Their wagon train stretched 8 miles. Oh, and the men were not faring well. The amount of corpses left buried in the winter snows only increased with every mile we trekked, risking to nearly 20 on every sloping hillside. Oh, he must be taking such heavy losses, man, Marcus observed, holding up a hand to shield his eyes from the winter sun that shone brightly off the endless slopes of white before us. He's pushing them hard, bro, I responded. He wants to make the UEUI pass before it's completely snowed in the cold season, bro. I got it right that time. He won't make it, bro, Lucius said, suddenly realizing the implication of this actions. Hundreds will, die. That's a sacrifice that he'll make, bro, I said, my voice becoming as cold and hard as the icicles that hung from the boughs of the few spindly trees. Victory at all costs, bro. That's his motto. Then we're gonna stop him, bro, said Lucius. And then I'll make us all a bunch of wicked baguettes. We pushed harder after that and reached a convoy of soldiers shortly after nightfall. The sun bled into the distance, painting the landscape orange and pink, and casting long shadows over the drifts and chasms that pockmarked the mountain slopes. We snuck our way quietly past the sentries that patrolled along the edge of the army's makeshift camp and crawled deftly into the quarters of the commander. Commander Thusius sat with his back to us, still clad in his full plate armor. His swords were slung on his left hip, one of a Rechthian longsword made of the finest moonsteel, and the other a vicious orcish scimitar made from the black iron of Krex. He unsheathed them both. I knew you'd come crawling back, he said, his voice weary. It couldn't last after I left, I said. You decided to kill me because you saw me as a threat, but you forgot that I was only a threat because I practically ran this place by myself. Yeah, shouted Marcus. And now he's got bros that actually appreciate him. Thusius scoffed, his lips curling into a sneer. Even with the 3 of you, you'll never defeat me. I'm still the better swordsman, Wexley, and now I have you cornered. My hand went to my hip and I ripped free my sword from its sheath. But Thusius was faster. His black steel scimitar whistled through the air, and I realized in horror that my own sword would be brought up too late. Fast as lightning, Lucius pushed me aside, catching the blade deep in his gut. He screamed wordlessly in defiance, and Thusius growled angrily as he brought the moonsteel longsword around to cut off his head. By this time, my own blade was up and ready to fight, and so Marcus and I pressed the attack. Thusius was right. He was the finest swordsman I ever knew or have known since, and the strikes were so swift that there was no chance of dodging or deflecting them. The longswords caught me in my shoulder, and the scimitar buried itself in Marcus's ribs. But I maintained my momentum and jabbed my own sword through Thusius's neck. Thusius crumpled to the ground, and Marcus and I crumpled with him. I watched in horror as my bro's breathing hastened and shallowed, and then, in a moment that terrifies me to this day, stopped. All I wanted was a baguette. Now I shall yearn for it forevermore.
Hey.
He's at the line.
Hey. Good shit.
That was awesome.
Anyone
was-
else craving baguettes suddenly?
No,
I mean-
what are you talking about?
That was rather, how do I say,
Awesome,
climactic.
bro.
That was totally the best literature I've ever read in my life.
There's a lot of climaxing during that climax, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Bro, you climaxed harder than
Alrighty.
that. Come on,
Alrighty.
bro.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Lucius.
The first
Gotcha.
voice you gave him.
Right.
Oh, was it Patrick? I don't remember.
Yeah, it sounded. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that heard it.
So as per usual, you will rank the 3 stories you did not work on. We'll all post them at the same time in the self-promo chat, and then we will have a discussion.
For me, it's 5 is the best, 1 is the worst. Or I could just be rude.
And like 2 sucked. So what are your points? Yeah.
Oh yeah, by the way, ladies and
Just-
gentlemen,
I'm
this
not a
is the
fan.
end of season 1. Didn't know
No.
you knew that.
We'll have the stats/awards episode too.
Yeah, it'll be its own thing. I'm
Yeah, this is-
preparing stuff for it.
All right, people, wait for an episode in the future after when this comes out. There will be an awards episode, apparently. I did not know about this. They did, so get ready for that.
Yep.
Tape your butt
Yep.
shuts. It's about to get wacky.
Butt chugging?
When you are ready to send your things, tell me. Like, let me know.
There shall
Goddamn.
be a great counting of points.
Yeah, I'll compile them.
So, mythological. First off, who wrote mythological? That's Curtis
Mythological.
first, if he's not.
Curtis and then me.
Overall, the story was pretty good, honestly. It was a bit out there, you know? It was definitely, you had to look at it on a broader scale of things. And then this character that, the warrior, being chosen by the gods, basically, was a very good story. I did wish that there was more of, like, what they were going to do in it, but I do like the story. The world building in the first half, and then a continuation of the characterization in the second half was absolutely solid.
Yeah, this one definitely reads well. It's going to be a little bit harder to determine better half, but as far as reading well, shit, dude. The 3 that I didn't write were all pretty technically thematically similar, with the exception of Bromance. But between Grimdark and Mythological, they're pretty similar. They almost kind of fade into each other, just stylistically, much less content-wise. But
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. But that's the connection between the two. It connected oddly, but well. It was very weird. It was a weird connection that worked.
it was.
I was pleasantly surprised by it, and I think it was kind of skillful of Curtis to include a forced second line for the first half.
Mhm.
You weren't supposed to do that, but the fact that you included it in anyways and somehow made it work was quite interesting.
It is nice to see that you got 2 really nice sentences. Not bad at all. First half stands alone pretty good. Second half in this one, in Mythological, also stands alone pretty good. They don't overwhelmingly kick each other down. Out of the 2, Mythological and Grimdark, this one has a better split, because Grimdark's split was a bit abrupt, jarring. That's the word, thank you. This one, much less so.
Yeah.
I don't have too much else to say about this one.
Can you pick a better half?
Better half of this one is hard for me. This one's going to be
Okay,
coming
so-
down to which lines I prefer more, anyway.
Yeah, so I think it's really down to the sentence on this one. And I think the first half sentence is integrated better. I think that's just a product of it being the first half, right? It's easier to integrate it when it's the first thing you write and isn't just, tacked on to the end, like the second half kind of feels. So I'm going to give it to Curtis.
I think the second half was more emotional. I think I gotta give it to the second half. I think
Okay.
it made better use of that line. I'm not saying that the line used in the first half was used wrong. It was used well, but I think for storytelling purposes, the second half just did that aspect better.
Okay, so that's 1 and 1. Prime, would you like to input your half?
I'm reading through them a little bit because it's coming down, in my case, it's coming down to sentence structure and grammar. It's how close it is for me. So if Josh would like to go first on better half
Okay.
of Mythology.
Which half do you like best?
Out of all the stories, it was this one that really managed to rope me in the best. It was, for me, it was incredibly entrancing that the way it was structured, both grammatically as well as kind of poetically in a way. Like, Prime and Fire were saying earlier, like both halves, they complemented each other in a way that felt like, you know, you could get rid of that line and it would feel as if it never changed author. At least in my case, I really liked that. So I guess if we're focusing more on the lines as well, the lines of what we had to use, obviously, rain poured from the heavens above in sheets of icy torment. And then Iffy used the rain fell hardest that day. I think I'm gonna have to give it to Curtis.
My decision comes down to which one I like the actual wording of more. And I have a surprisingly slight preference towards Curtis's. It does feel slightly more poetic than Iffy's wording in the second half.
Okay.
If you're reading it as a whole, more passively and not like actively thinking about it, they both blend together almost seamlessly. But once I started digging in, I felt a slightly more poetry in the first half. So I'm going to give it to Curtis.
For now, we're going to go to Ghost Story. What does everyone think?
I really liked this story. I felt as though this story did the best job of the stories I can vote on of integrating the two halves into being one cohesive story without any huge gap or jarring change at the midpoint. I really like what Prime did with the prompt. The world building in the first half was very, very nice. And while it was continued in the second half, pretty well. The only gripe I have is the last line here feels really out of place in the second half. I'm going to personally vote for the first half for that reason.
I would be inclined to agree with you. This is kind of a natural extension, right, of the challenge, right? Is that the second half can definitely feel really out of place because, again, you kind of have to work it to close in that manner as opposed to building the story around it. That being said, I cannot think of a better way to build a story around a rubber duck who is named Jim. I think the quiet sense of foreboding in the first half around a rubber duck named Jim is just great. I think it's great. I love the subtle way his co-workers all kind of interact with it, the kind of mystery that's forming of what the fuck is up with this duck.
Yeah,
so
why is this duck following me? It's been a month. What the hell?
Yeah, and I really don't want to understate that the second half did, I think, a good job of ramping up the story into a climax where things start happening with this duck. I do think that was done well. For me, it really was just that last line.
For me, I'm probably going to have to disagree with you a little bit, but mainly specifically on the first paragraph of the second half. Because for me, what really threw me off was the fact that he said, Jim the duck heard me. He started to move towards me. No strings could be seen. Nothing, of that nature. Everything in the second half, or in the first half, excuse me, we have always seen this, talking about a rubber duck. We've always seen this duck move, while this character is looking away. The character is not seeing the duck move, on its own. That's why he always had this inkling that it was co-workers in the first place. So when the second half hit and he was like, now the duck is suddenly starting to move on its own, I was like, okay, that's a little bit jarring. So it was, I don't know, for me, I guess it was just too sudden.
It did lose the weeping angel effect there for sure.
Yes, that's what I wanted. That's what I was thinking would continue happening, was the weeping angel effect.
So you felt like it shifted gears too suddenly?
Yes, basically, and you could make the argument like that, oh yeah, he touched it not too long ago and that's why it's all of a sudden moving in front of him, but I don't know, that's just how I feel about it.
So I believe that makes 3 for Prime, but I would still like to hear Curtis's opinion.
I would also have to say the first half. The second half just kind of, it got too sudden too quick.
Gotcha.
It didn't build up and it didn't lean into the eeriness of a rubber duck being possessed.
You're saying too much too fast, pretty much.
Yeah.
Maybe there was more natural way that it could have ramped up in intensity. Let's talk about Slice of Life. Which half?
Iffy and I.
Iffy better.
Iffy first, be second. I shall be quiet.
I gotta go with the first half. No question about it for me.
I'm pretty much the opposite. I very much like the second half. The reason why is it's mainly just for the fucking characterization. I think the characterization throughout this entire thing is the strongest aspect of it. And the way that Prime really defines the relationship between the main character and his wife, kind of like, explores it a bit more, is probably my favorite part of the story.
That's super ironic because the characterization is the exact reason why I chose the first half over the second half. I thought the second half butchered what was already there. If it was its own thing, it could have worked, but it just takes the first part and just, I don't know, it just rips it to pieces.
To me, it felt like a natural extension, right? I thought it was really
it felt like these characters were just naturally goofy.
The brutality in this world. Here he is. He has a very cheerful relationship with his, with his wife, with his dog. He's just living his life, living his best life in this world, basically.
Yeah, and that was showcased in the first half too.
Again, I just thought I liked the way it was expanded upon in the second half. That is the reason why I like it a bit more.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that.
It gives a vibe of just self-parody throughout the entirety of it, which it's self-parodying itself, at least seems like it throughout the entirety of it, and more intensely in the second half.
Exactly why I think the first half. I think the first half also world built it very well. The second half did good too, with the general showing up on the TV.
I would have to say the first half with the caveat, we need more dog.
Iffy, it's always a dog.
Right.
That is the second dog-related criticism you've had.
I think that's
It's 2 and 2.
I think
2 and 2, so half points.
We'll keep the half points for this season because we've been doing it, but in the future I want to do away with them.
Fair enough.
Before we get to Grimdark, I know I'm skipping ahead. Matthias, I'm sorry.
Grimdark.
Who wrote this one? First half was?
First half Matthias. Absolutely gets it for me.
Yes.
Curtis, your half was very much to Warhammer 40k, and it just pretty much ignored the first half except for the mention of the name Marvel.
I know. That's why I apologize, because I just kind of tanked it.
Even ignoring that, because like let's say this was a time skip, okay? Because I want to give you doubt and stuff for second halves, because time skips can't happen.
Yeah, I forgot to set up.
The last line also seemed a little weird.
The last line, I think that your half, Curtis, like you said, would definitely benefit from more setup to make this transition here less sudden and jarring without explanation. I'm also going to go with the first half due to content, world building, and setup. It's just in general, I think it was better written. I'm not saying the second half is bad. I think it needed more setup.
I will be unfortunately thirding that opinion for first half. The only issue I have lies in the transition, the non-existent transition. If there was a sentence at the end of your first paragraph in the second half, Curtis, to explain that it had been either a time skip or a mild, even like just a small sentence to explain how you got there, my opinion would be very different, because your writing, small as it might be, as it always ends up being when Matthias goes and has a field day on a first half, it's fine. Like the actual writing, the wording, the grammar, the structure, it's fine, fits perfectly. You can match Matthias' style pretty closely to the point where if I didn't know 2 people wrote this, I probably wouldn't question it.
Like, I'm not trying to make myself an excuse, but I kind of did screw myself over by using both my original lines. This last line, I was just like, I don't know how to do that. Use that properly, so I was
fair enough.
I think you used the last line well.
Yeah,
it really is the start of this.
I think the last line does work.
It's not too bad. You could use a little editing, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, like the kind of the setup for it, maybe a little bit of tweaking. But I thought it was pretty clear what you're going for.
I would tend to agree about that final line about Curtis's line, because I will admit that was one of the lines that I obviously had to give him.
It was the backup line.
It was one of the backup lines, so it was kind of like working with a crutch.
A self-made crutch.
A self-made crutch, yeah. What do you know?
By accident, I may add.
Accident, Curtis. I'm not trying to.
Took out my femur bone on purpose, accident.
I do feel, and I agree with everyone else, if there was more, if you had more time, I do believe you would have cooked with this one.
Well,
like right now, it's a bit. You could see it as either being a bit burnt or maybe a bit under. Actually, no, it's not burnt. It's undercooked. Like you took it out of the oven a little bit too early, like 20 minutes early. So now you just have to put it back in.
All right, I think that is That is
And
enough
we should
of that.
go to Bromance.
Bromance. Who wrote what half?
I wrote the first half, I wrote the second.
I like this one. It's very funny.
Easily the best.
Second half.
Yeah, second half, bro. Second half,
Bro.
bro.
Dude, bro. Second half, bro.
Seriously though, in all seriousness, memes aside, there's only two ways, in my opinion, to write a quote-unquote bromance. One, the comedic route that Pyrrha took, or two, like a serious, like, brotherhood type story. I sort of saw in the beginning that it had the makings, the initial inklings of being like a brothers in arms brotherhood type of story, until bro captain bro. You should really watch your step better. Then it's like, okay, they're going the comedy route, at which point I felt that was kind of jarring. But
I feel similarly.
Yep.
If we had removed the bro captain bro part that shifted this into a comedy, I would have liked the first half better. But that did set up the second half to be a comedy. So that's really
that really allowed
if
Pyrrha.
that wasn't there, the story would be very different overall.
Well, yeah, because I would have written it different if that line wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I can't judge halves by that, but yeah.
As it stands, it reads as an intention to be a comedy, and for the comedy aspect of the bromance, I think the second half is better. There's also just flat out more bromance in the second. The first half was set up, but not enough set up to give itself a chance to have the bromance aspect set up. It touches it, but it doesn't really delve into it, which is why the second half wins for me.
I like the second half because it really leans into the bro.
Josh, any extra any extra thoughts, Curtis, or was that like whole?
Like, legitimately, that's why I like it, because it's like half of it sounds like a conversation I have with my bros at work.
Wow, it's realistic. Hit home.
Yeah,
you can relate.
Yeah, I liked the second half.
Hitting on what you guys had said about the bro captain bro, you should really watch your step better line and how that switched from a very serious tone to a more comedic one. I did that very intentionally. I know that it was breaking what I had made very hard to make. The reason why I did that, and I'm happy with what I wrote, honestly, even if it's not the better half. I already knew that I had a slim chance of getting a better half when I'm up against Mathias. I put that in there very intentionally so that I could give a layup or whatever so that Mathias could just slam it home. Good. All right, I think we can see the points now.
Yes, we have the points.
It is the self-program. I have all the prompts. You got what prompt? Your total amount of points, the stories with better halves in italics, total word count, and 8 points granted to them by the ranking.
As with the first one, it bothers me that you didn't list our names from winner to loser, but I will suffer through reading this.
It's fine.
I did worse than I thought I did. I'm in last.
15.5. That's still pretty high. That's still really
Yeah,
high.
this
Usually
is
get
very,
low.
very close. I think this is the closest one to date.
Yeah, 15, 16, 18, 19.
Yeah.
These scores are crazy.
It's in
It's
in the late 10s.
But either way, this writing game was really close.
They've gotten closer and closer.
Pretty soon everyone will be on average with 7.25.
Wow. Last actual thing though. Who gave what lines?
Yes.
Let's start like at the list 1 through 10. Who gave 1?
I think this
1
is
and 2 were me. 3 and 4
I
were
like
Fire. 5 and 6,
Motherfucker.
I believe, were Curtis?
Yeah.
7 and 8 were Iffy, and 9 and 10 were Prime.
How'd I
And the
fucking
ultimate
know that
Josh
7
won.
and 8 were iffy?
Oh,
Yeah.
I have no idea. How
Were you ever going to be surprised?
How
No,
would
that's
I
good.
have ever known?
So do we want
I
to do the same
think
thing
they're
we did?
fun, interesting lines that force you to be creative.
Look
The first two, by the way, I wrote 2 whole ass other lines before putting in the baguette line.
Bro, why?
What?
And y'all were waiting for me at that point, so I couldn't keep brainstorming.
Okay, so one of them was just obscenely awful. I don't remember what it was, but it was...
We'll just ignore it for now.
They were both really bad.
It'll be the one that got away, and probably, thankfully so. At the end of this, I mean, it's 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning for Curtis.
Yeah.
Let's kill it here.
Yeah. I'm gonna do an open mic outro.
Okay.
Yeah, so everyone shall be quiet. And so, folks, that was the 7th writing game in the series. If you want more of this, the rest of the series is actually going to be put up on Heck's channel. It'll be linked down in the description below if you want to go check it out. I highly recommend it. And as for the finale of the series, it'll be, as I said earlier, it'll be a sort of an award ceremony. Shush! It'll be an award ceremony. And that's that. And until next time, I bid thee farewell. Did you try ASMRing while I was doing that?
No, I just tried annoying you.
Speak again, Massa.
How dare you?